Good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. If you would please stand, have a moment of silence and the invocation, and then we will go right into the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for this great country that we live in, this great community that we live in, and we're thankful to be able to meet here today. Be with us as we conduct the business of the county. Bless all of our law enforcement, all of our servicemen that are serving at home and abroad. Keep everyone safe today. Give us the guidance and the wisdom to make good decisions for our citizens. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll? Here.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to, At this time, any commissioner or member of the public may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda. And first of all, before we go into the consent, I would like to have the approval of the written agenda, and I would like myself to have an item 9B pulled and placed in items for consideration, and that is the approval of the October 6th Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. The other thing is, because we do not have 2/3 of our board here, we are going to pull 13 unfinished business A and B regarding going into closed session. So that is going to be pulled from the agenda. Does anyone else have an item that needs to be moved or removed from the agenda? Thank you. Yes, we are also pulling the presentation Employee Service Awards today. Thank you, Commissioner Geiger. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you. Moved by Geiger, seconded by Parker to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Excuse me. The item carried. Reports from state and county officers. Does any state or county officer or their representative have a report to share with the board? Good morning, Commissioner Dahl. When you speak, yes.
Let's try that.
There we go.
Jim Dahl, Berry County Drain Commission. First of all, I want to thank the commissioners for having in-person meetings. I think these are basic rights of the people, and so this is really nice. We've done some Zooms, they ain't the same, so thank you. I know Michael and the whole commissioners have worked really hard to be able to figure out a way to do this, so that's great. Big thing I'm here for is back on 9/12 of 2017, the commissioners authorized loaning us, the Drain Commission, $43,000 to buy a mini excavator, 304E2. I said at the time that I expected we could save enough money by using that at $250 a visit over subcontracting that out. If we used it once a week for 6 years, we would be able to pay that back to you guys. My deputy last week, 10/7, paid that off. We've used it way more than once a week, and so we appreciate you guys having faith in us to give us a shot, and thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
I'll leave you guys alone so somebody else can get in here.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other state or county officials that has a report to make? Good morning, Sheriff Lee. Is it green on the?
Better?
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
September 2020 stats. Berry County law enforcement logged 771 complaints. 58 individuals were arrested, resulting in 28 felony and 40 misdemeanor charges. There were 80 accidents handled, 40 involved deer. 5 individuals arrested for alcohol and drugs. Excuse me. The K9 was activated on 12 occasions, resulting in quantities of drugs recovered and apprehensions of individuals in criminal cases. 413 criminal histories were run for warrant entry and warrant requests. There were also 80 sex offender registration transactions completed. Incidents handled in 2020, 711. In 2015, there were 732. Accidents handled, 80. In 2015, there were 62. 2020, car deer accidents, 40. In 2015, 28. Arrests, there was 46. 18 felony, 31 misdemeanors. In 2015, there was 58. 18 felonies and 45 misdemeanors. Alcohol and drug-related arrests, 7 in 2020 and 9 in 2015. Questions?
Thank you, Ben. Go ahead.
Sheriff, as you are well aware, there was an evil plot to attack the Capitol and injure or kill our governor. And the evil that brought rise to it is reprehensible and disgusting and doesn't represent our values. Unfortunately, there have some comments were made that have brought media attention here today. Would you like to take this opportunity to clarify anything or to add any remarks?
I just stand behind the rule of law.
But with vigilante justice, nobody should be taking the law into their hands.
Absolutely not. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along to limited public comment. We can only accommodate so many people inside. There are several people outside that are waiting to make public comment.
Rick Moore, Berry County Park Commission. I just wish to remind everyone, commissioners and guests alike, to speak into the microphone or use your outdoor voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Just one more second. So, with the public comment today, I would like to cycle the people that are standing outside in first to give them an opportunity. And the other thing I would like to ask you is limit your comments to 3 minutes. And to please address your comments in a family-style conversation. Let's not have anything that is inappropriate. I would appreciate that. That's approved for all audiences. So I saw Michael go. I think he's going to cycle them in from outside first. I just think that would be, they're standing, and if they want to just make public comment and leave, they may. Or we have a speaker set up outside. They can go out into the parking lot and listen to the rest of the meeting. We're going to do the ones outside first. They're just standing out there. Thank you. So please limit your comments to 3 minutes
Yes.
and state your name and where you're from, and comments approved for all audiences.
Yes.
And then there's a speaker out here if you want to go and listen to the rest of our meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. My legal name is Cody Hayes. My preferred name is Olivia Bennett. By now, I am sure most in this room know exactly who I am, and this morning I came here to do 2 things. First, I would like to announce my concession to Catherine Getty in the race for Berry County's 2nd District Commissioner. This is something Catherine and I discussed well over a month ago. Due to many things going on in my life, I found it not the right time for me to move forward with a run for public office. Catherine and I seem to share many of the same values, and her work in the community over the past 20 years is honorable. She has the experience and compassion I believe is needed in a commissioner, and I look forward to seeing her sit here on this board come January. Secondly, I am more than certain that by now you have all become aware of the protest I called for, where we are essentially requesting that the Board of Commissioners take up a resolution calling upon Darleaf to resign. I canceled that protest when growing concerns of safety became an issue. Unlike others in my county, I believe safety to be of utmost importance. I think this really paints a picture for where we are at right now in this county, though. A state of fear that speaking out against a powerful figure such as Darleaf will ultimately lead to intimidation tactics and potential violence. The people of Berry County are angry as our little rural county has made national news this past week over the comments made by Sheriff Leaf. When asked about his sharing a stage at a protest rally against the governor earlier this year with a man who would later go on to be a part of the attempt to kidnap her, he created a defense for them. Mr. Leaf cited a law suggested that perhaps they were only trying to arrest the governor instead of kidnapping her. These people had all the intentions of harming the governor, starting a civil war, and harming law enforcement, and Mr. Leaf provided them with a defense. The day when he tried to clarify his comments, he then talked about how he didn't want public speculation to ruin an investigation. However, his own suggestion of maybe they were trying to arrest her was him adding public speculation. He gave them a defense, whether he sees it that way or not, and it is noteworthy that even the Michigan Sheriff's Association has said that they do not in any shape or form support their views, stating it's quite frankly disheartening a sheriff would respond this way to an incident. I believe a sheriff who doesn't condemn kidnapping attempts on government officials has no business in law enforcement. I believe a sheriff who doesn't condemn the attempted insurgence of a civil war enacted by domestic terrorists has no business in law enforcement. I believe a sheriff who doesn't condemn a group who wishes to do harm to law enforcement has no business holding the title he does. This is for the safety of our state and our county. For these reasons, I implore the Board of Commissioners to censure Darleaf and ask for his resignation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I will ask that. Okay. So good morning.
Good morning.
Limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we're asking for all family approved comment. And please state your name. State your name and where you're from. So speak up a little bit.
Wonderful. I'll enunciate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chairperson. My name is Johnny DeMag from 1754 North Wellman in Woodland. Firstly, thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to speak today. I'd also like to thank the multitude of my neighbors and fellow constituents who are both here and afar today to call into question the dereliction of duty and malfeasance of office by Sheriff Darleaf. As I stated, my name is Johnny DeMag. I'm a lifelong resident of Berry County, a business owner in Middleville, and an elected precinct delegate for Castleton Township. As an elected official, I'm responsible for taking information on issues to the voters in my district. Such issues involve that of the actions and rhetoric of Sheriff Leaf that led to the domestic terrorism plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. Tens of thousands of individuals live, work, and play in Berry County. The safety of these individuals is paramount to the proper functioning of our community. The actions of Sheriff Leaf undermine that exact safety by choosing to align himself with William Knoll and other members of the militia. Sheriff Leaf has stated that he does not have any regret for sharing a platform with Mr. Leaf, or Mr. Knoll, and that militia. The sheriff has exhibited a dangerous pattern of sympathy towards these militia members who have been charged with statewide terrorism. I believe it is important for the board to consider the actions and rhetoric of the sheriff on the reputation of Berry County as a whole. Will more law-abiding citizens, families, or entrepreneurs seek to move to a county where the sheriff fails to uphold his oath of office? Or will his actions embolden a new demographic of people who seek to bring violence into our community under the guise of a militia? We cannot peacefully and safely conduct our daily life in Berry County under the misguided actions of Sheriff Darley. This also comes at a time where the county is evaluating and voting on an increased tax millage for a new sheriff's office and jail. The future of our county's jail infrastructure should not be in the hands of a sheriff who has sympathized with individuals indicted for domestic terrorism. I implore the board to call for Sheriff Leaf's immediate resignation and instill the duties of sheriff to the under-sheriff. Likewise, I also implore my fellow constituents to vote against the tax millage for the new sheriff's office until we elect a sheriff that is capable of upholding the law of the state of Michigan, publicly denounces acts of domestic terrorism, and makes Berry County a safer place for us all, not just who they agree with. I yield the balance of my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning. So 3 minutes. Please try to make your comments, audience approved for all
Sure.
audiences, and state your name and where you're from.
All right. My name is Mark Gurley. I am actually not from Berry County. I am from Grand Rapids in Kent County, where I have a relationship with Sheriff Young and Sheriff Stelma before her. And I have been involved for many years bringing high-profile speakers to the Grand Rapids area and the greater Michigan area to wake up citizens to our Constitution and things of that nature. In the process of doing that, I've had some very interesting encounters with both sides of the aisle. I've had very interesting encounters with many people who oppose America as we know it based on the U.S. Constitution. As a result, with some of these high-profile folks, we had known threats from Muslim Brotherhood, ISIS, and others. And so what did I choose to do to protect my speakers? Well, I had the Kent County sheriffs coming around with their vehicles, but I reached out to deputies that were underneath Sheriff Darleaf to run the security for my events because they knew what they were doing, and they were well-trained, and they understood the Constitution, and they understood what it meant to be American and taking care of Americans in the process. So I've also shared the platform with Sheriff Darleaf on a number of Thin Blue Line and law enforcement type events. I'm a regular speaker at the Capitol steps, from everything from prayer, as I'm also an ordained minister, to Second Amendment events, to Thin Blue Line events, to opposing the governor's lockdowns when they were unconstitutional, as we have now learned from the Michigan Supreme Court itself. So I want to encourage this council to continue to allow the people of Berry County to elect the sheriff of their choice and not to force somebody to resign just because of a narrative that's been released in the media. There's an awful lot of red flag kind of things going here. I know some of these militia people because they come to the events I've been speaking at, and we've never had any problems with them. But this group that was arrested didn't really line up with what I've seen from a well-regulated militia. They lined up more with the governor's ideology, actually. I saw a lot more Antifa-Marxist type behaviors among the group arrested, and that's clearly where our governor chooses to align herself. So I want to encourage you to continue to keep Sheriff Darleaf in this position because he is excellent. He's known across the state as being one of the number one constitutional sheriffs, and we need more people like him, not less. Thank you for my
Thank you. Can you exit the way that you came? Thank you. Good morning. So I would ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. State your name and where you're from. Please keep your comments family approved. And thank you for coming today.
Well, thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Arnie Rodriguez. I'm from Berry County, Yankee Springs area. And I came on behalf of Sheriff Darleaf. I've never known him to be power type of person. He's always exercised his authority with respect to our people here in Berry County, and very proud to have him here. The governor, as you know, was the Supreme Court, Michigan Supreme Court, said she acted unconstitutionally. Dar had said that from the very beginning, and always exercised his authority here, not with power, but with respect. And even though disagreed, he did respect what the governor had to say and do for our state. So my request is that the commission take a look at him and keep him on board. He's a good man.
Thank you. Oh, they're all done out from outside. Thank you. So I'm going to open it up to the people that are inside. Eldon? So you all know 3 minutes. I've said that enough now this morning.
I come to speak for our Sheriff, Dar Leaf. I have known Dar ever since May 19, 1988, when I was 28 years old. And that's when Dar not only worked at the Sheriff's Department, he also worked at the Hastings Ambulance Service. When our paths met, when my father was having a heart attack, my father didn't make it, but my impression of Dar was a hard worker with compassion and integrity, a God-fearing Christian man that cares not only for himself, but our county and our country, and the value he also believed in, the Constitution that our country was founded on, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our country is under attack by those who seek to destroy the very foundation it was built on. I would like to say to Dar Leaf, thank you for what you believe in on the Constitution and upholding your oath of office when others fail to take it seriously or do that. Some professors and teachers and liberals are failing our kids the right education on the principles of freedom and the truths on God and country and God-given rights under the Constitution. Our freedoms, we thank God, our vets and patriots for those sacrifices and service, for without them we wouldn't be free. God bless Dar, God bless America, and thank you, Dar Leaf, for being our sheriff.
Thank you. Thank you, and then the lady in the back standing. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for providing this forum to express our concerns. I am Scott Savage, a Hastings Township resident. I would like to thank the Board of Commissioners for their long service to the county and its residents. You and the boards elected before you have done well looking out for the best interest of us all. And now you have an opportunity to serve the county's best interest in a most important moment. A large group of concerned citizens urge you to seriously consider our proposal. Recently, our sheriff, Dar Leaf, has aligned himself against our governor on what he calls constitutional grounds. He has also aligned himself with militia groups and extremist individuals and attended these militia rallies speaking on their behalf in opposition to the governor. He has even done this in other jurisdictions, Kent County for one, appearing in the uniform of his office to lend increased legitimacy to the causes that he and these militias promote. And now we learn that Leith has appeared on stage and fraternized with the alleged conspirators of the plot to kidnap our governor. Leith has claimed openly that he had no idea of these plotters' intentions. Perhaps, but no one would have had their hand and their fingers on the pulse of Berry County and her denizens better than Dar Leith. He had to have become familiar with the mindset of these militia types after spending so much time with them, and he had to be aware of the effect his support would have on these people. If he's not aware of that effect, then can we really trust his judgment? What really alarms me the most is that he is giving his tacit approval to these extremists and militias, and he is enabling them and giving them encouragement to ramp up their actions by standing with them. Leaf actually prepared himself to provide a line of defense for these plotters, and he was ready to quote specific lines of statutory code related to citizens' arrest. He did this on camera. So here's the thought experiment. In 1886, the Supreme Court rendered a decision that only the states had the authority to form well-regulated militias. Ordinary citizens were prohibited from forming paramilitary groups. This ruling has never been overturned, and I believe it was upheld as recently as 2000 or thereabouts. So if civilian militias are not legal entities and Dar Leaf is supporting them, does that mean that Leaf is aiding and abetting an illegal group? Is Leaf a person of interest to the FBI? I have heard these gun-toting military types say that they show up at events and rallies to protect the public interest. I don't buy that. I think they brandish their weapons solely to intimidate, and that makes us all less free and less safe. Whereas we, the residents of Berry County, feel that Dar Leaf's actions put us at increased risk of violence, and that we no longer trust or have faith in his willingness to carry out his duties fairly and justly to protect and serve all the residents of Berry County, we call on the Board of Commissioners to demand the resignation of Dar Leaf.
Thank you, Mr. Savage.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Christina Bush. I live in Nashville, Maple Grove Township. Madam Chair, in his interview with the news outlets, Sheriff Dar Leaf's comments about the persons apprehended for planning to arrest, really kidnap, the governor seemed to excuse the accused. The sheriff should never have commented on this matter since he is not involved in the investigation, nor is he a lawyer. Yes, the suspects need due process in court. However, their alleged plan, the FBI affidavit for which is easily found online, was heinous and reeked of anarchy and violence. The Berry County Commissioners are no doubt aware of how both mainstream and social media are blowing up with concerns that Mr. Leaf is not trustworthy to be our sheriff. Commenters to the Sheriff's Department Facebook page are demanding that Mr. Leaf be relieved of his duties. Other comments I have seen include, "This man is an absolute embarrassment to my hometown county," and, "As a former Michigander, I'm embarrassed by Dar Leaf's reaction to the terrorist threat from white domestic terrorists." If all of those commenters were here today at this meeting or outside, the black eye already rising on this county because of Mr. Leaf's words and previous actions would be even more grotesque. Earlier this year, there were a couple of letters to the editor of the Banner that extolled what a great place Berry County is to live in or visit. The interview Mr. Leaf gave wiped out any positive feeling brought about by those letters. Is Berry County a haven for domestic terrorists? Should residents and visitors worry about their safety while Mr. Leaf argues the intent of persons who have their own ideas of, quote, law and order? You may want to refer to the Sheriff's Department vision statement about quality of life for citizens and guests. Will businesses that were planning to come to Berry County decide that the risk of investing here is too great? Madam Chair, I propose the following actions for the commissioners to consider. 1. Formally censure Mr. Leaf for his actions and words, stating the harm they have done to the county. 2. Request that Mr. Leaf resign from his position as sheriff as soon as possible. 3. Assuming that Mr. Leaf resigns, appoint Under Sheriff Sixbury as acting sheriff until a special election can be held to fill the sheriff's position. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. This gentleman. in the red. Thank you. Might recognize you without your mask, but with it, sorry.
I'm Tom Bergdorf from Woodland Township, and I am an ex-posse member, and I worked alongside of Dar several years ago, and I'm here to tell you there's nobody more committed to protecting this county than Dar Lee. He's a good man, and I think the media is taking things that he said out of context, and it'd be a great injustice if he was removed from office. I'm here in support of Dar Lee. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman sitting against the wall, please. Thank you for being patient.
How about something different?
Okay.
Just a little bit. My name is Jeff Bennett. I am from Hastings. It's a pleasure to be here today addressing our Board of Commissioners who represent the residents of Berry County. But I will get directly to my concern, is the proposed new jail. While I do not argue the fact that we need an updated facility, I do question the lack of transparency throughout the process. When our local schools make bond requests for new structural and building updates, as we have recently finished, no stone is left unturned. As voters, we are always provided intimate details of how the funds will be used. Being a retired teacher, married to a retired superintendent of schools, my wife and I are well aware of that if a new building proposal is to be passed, it must include this detailed specifics up to and including the building site. We're asking the residents of Berry County to vote yes for the proposal before we know the details of the proposal. If we were to vote yes, you would then have carte blanche power to do whatever you wanted to do. Thus, we have to vote for it to find out what's in it. Persistent closed sessions about this matter by the board and denying the Freedom of Information Act or what is being proposed using our tax dollars is very disconcerting. After diligent research, it has become apparent that the location of the new jail is not an issue not being publicly discussed, unless it was already brought up earlier today. Of course, the current location has been one proposal that has been made public, but I'm not so sure that's a good idea. The property the jail currently occupies is commercially worth $1.5 to $3 million. My opinion would be to sell it to a developer for more senior housing, which we definitely need, but also bring in property tax revenue for years to come. However, I also know that the old Hastings fiberglass factory on Cook Road in Rutland Township is also a consideration. This is something that I know is a fact. I can understand why that location would be considered. I cannot understand, why that location would even be considered, as it sits next to developed neighborhoods, lots of families, children, senior citizens. Are you aware of the effect it would have on property values? No one wants to live near a prison or jail out of safety for their families, not to mention the light pollution every night. When property values decline, so will the assessed tax value on each of our properties, thus less revenue for the county. Would it be a better idea for the old Hastings fiberglass factory to be sold to another company that could also pay taxes for many years to come? One option that seems most viable, and apparently not even on the drawing board, is publicly, is the 9 to 10 acres of vacant land behind the Aldi store, which the city of Hastings owns. The city is ready to give it to you free of charge. This is a win-win scenario for everyone, as the jail would be in a more secluded area away from families and still within the city limits. In addition, you will have $1.5 to $3 million available when the current property is sold, plus the tax revenue from that same property, as well as also encouraging another factory facility going to Hastings fiberglass building. In closing, I do not support the current proposal for the new jail. I sincerely believe you have spent too much of our tax dollars on a consulting firm that has produced very little, twice. That's over $200,000. When a new proposal is introduced with complete transparency and also puts our tax dollars to its best use, I would then publicly support the proposal for a new jail. Thank you very much for your valuable time and consideration.
Thank you. The gentleman in the back with a ball cap.
Hello, my name is Joe Kujala. I'm from Berry County. I am also one of the main members of Michigan 2A, Berry County. A lot of this stuff has been playing out on social media. This morning, the gentlemen that are accused of this are going to court to see if they are even going to be detained until the court. But here we are condemning Dar Leaf before this stuff even makes it to the court. Newscast people, they thrive on this stuff. It's being played out on social media, and this has to stop. A lot of good people have had their lives ruined, lost their jobs over false information through the news media, and I know they do it because I watch a lot of it and stuff, and played out on social media. Dar Leaf was protecting my Second Amendment and everybody else's Second Amendment in Berry County. And I applaud him for that. But we do need to stop playing these things out before the accused people even make it to court. This could ruin Dar Leaf. Shame on everybody that brings this up and does this kind of stuff to do that to a good man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam in the striped sweatshirt.
First of all, I'd like to tell you I've got dysphonia in my jaw, so I had a hard time talking. Number one,
can you please state your name for us?
Oh, okay. I'm Barb Elkins. Okay. I've been fighting justice in the Lord's name for 2 years. I had an experience with Dar Leaf. I had heard some rumors about a judge. And I said, as a taxpayer and a citizen, my great-grandparents and my grandparents and myself have been in this county all our lives. We made it, helped to make it what it is. And so I called Dar Leaf, and I said, well, if you can't trust a sheriff, who can you trust? So I called him, and I asked him, oh, no. So this other person was involved in a court case at the time, which was nothing. It went from 6 months of counseling to 5 years in prison, is what it ended up. Well, when he talked to Dar Leaf, he said, first thing Dar said, does this involve so-and-so? Yeah. Next thing he says, who's your attorney? And hung up. Next morning, went to court. I was there. The attorney that this person had, the first thing he said, when you called the sheriff, you just shot yourself in the foot because I have to dismiss myself now. How can the sheriff fire our attorney, number one? The other person that is connected had 32 counts of felonies against him. And I just found out, because prosecutors had never talked to me, I found out the other day the person confessed to these felonies. I found out the other day the prosecutor never received them. There was also a drug house being run that was reported. I have all the numbers of this. I have court documents for a lot of stuff. It was the prosecutor never received this. This all went through the sheriff's office. What is going on? I talked to a very reputable source. I said to this person, I can't tell the whole story, her name. I said, how can, first I said, how can this person fire my attorney? The person told me, well, I have a loaded firearm in my desk, and you cannot believe what is going on in this town. What is going on in this town that a person has to go to work and have a loaded firearm in their desk that they're that scared? Number two.
Can you wrap up your comments? Your 3 minutes is up.
Okay. I'd like to say one more thing.
Thank you.
We don't need no new jail. We need prison reform and rebuild people's lives. Help them. Help them. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you. Gentleman in the blue that has his hand raised.
I really didn't have any intention on saying anything.
Please state your name, please.
Mike Marlowe from Berry County. But anyway, I believe the media is an appendage of the Democrat Party, and they're perpetuating a bunch of nonsense. It's not exactly as accurate, and they're kind of putting the militia groups all into one basket. Very few militia members align themselves with these guys that were part of this conspiracy thing. As a matter of fact, remember Timothy McVeigh and the reported association with the militia here in Michigan? That militia group told Timothy McVeigh that they didn't want him attending their meetings anymore. This is an outlier, Timothy McVeigh. Back in June, the FBI recruited a militia member to infiltrate that group. Most militia members, the vast majority of them, freedom-loving, American-loving, constitutionalist, patriots. The last line of defense in case civil order breaks down. Darley, I respect him very much. He's a constitutionalist.
Thank you. Yes.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Nancy Hammond.
Right on. Sorry about that.
That's right on time. And I hadn't actually planned on saying anything this morning, but when I hear people that have no idea who DAR is come up here and they take a little tiny snippet and then they run with it. First of all, as a citizen of Berry County, when a governor tells you, oh, you can take your boat out, but you can't have a motor on it. You can shop in this big box store, but don't go to mom and pop. You can shop down this aisle, but you can't go to the garden section. Those rules, those laws that our governor put in place, doesn't make any sense. And so when Dar Leaf comes up against it and says, constitutionally, I can't enforce those rules, those laws that our governor put forward, I think that he ruffled a lot of feathers, some of the people that are sitting behind me. So when they come up and they take a little tiny thing, and they take it out of context, they try and undo everything that Dar Leaf has done for our community for more than a decade. Berry County still is one of the greatest places to come. And Hastings, Michigan is one of the most beautiful cities, and Dar Leaf has a lot to do with it, in welcoming cities. And I've been friends with him for, I can't remember anymore, 30 years. He's an amazing, compassionate man. And in this era of jumping to conclusions with no real knowledge of what actual facts are, seem to be commonplace. And I think it happened here today. reserving judgment until the trial takes place and actual facts come to light used to be the norm, but because Sheriff Leaf refused to condemn the actions of men, he's being condemned. Because Sheriff Leaf refused to comment on the guilt of men, he's under attack. And there is an agenda out there. I agree with some of these gentlemen that brought that up. The agenda is, oh, you came against the governor that made some ridiculous rules and keeps grabbing power, and they don't like that. Dar is a constitutionalist, and many of us are, and we support him, and we appreciate what he's done for this community. He has integrity. He has loyalty. He is honest. He serves our community. He serves his church. He's a great family man. He's a Christian. If Dar was not our sheriff, if we allow these false accusations, really, because what they've done is they've taken a little tiny snippet and they've blown it out. If they remove him, we will miss him. I will miss him. And I think the majority of Hastings would miss him terribly, in Barry County for sure. So he's a good man. Just because he refused to condemn these people, you don't take away all of the wonderful things that he's done for us. And I tell you, there's a bunch of people out there right now that are standing behind Dar and in here. And we will continue to stand with him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there more public comment? Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township. I support Sheriff Leaf. Sheriff Leaf supports the Constitution. He was elected constitutionally by we, the people. His handling of the department has been exceptional. It's been praised by both those on the far left and the far right. He has run the office in a way to serve the people of Barry County, not to oppress them. His officers are trained not to look for problems or create them, but to serve the people, and they embrace that in their duty. I can tell you from personal experience, I've lived in Barry County for almost 2 decades, and not for lack of trying, I have never received a speeding ticket here. And I know people who vehemently oppose Sheriff Leaf's politics, yet publicly advocate him as sheriff, because, simply put, his personal politics do not get in the way of his duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States. There are people that think that we are friends. We are not. I know Sheriff Leaf as sheriff. I know he has a wife. I don't even know her name. It has always been in that capacity as sheriff and constituent. And I commend him for taking the time to work through as many things as he has with me. You guys are no stranger to that. Let us not forget that Sheriff Leaf was right to refuse the enforcement of the unconstitutional executive orders. Our county was given information of other counties who had passed safe, pro-business resolutions to allow their local businesses to breathe under the disastrous restrictions put in place. Yet Barry County, as normal, decided to be a reactive rather than proactive county, complicit in the destruction of small businesses in the family unit. As for a credible FBI investigation affidavit against these militia members, I would think that with FISA court abuse and recent news that it would be laughable. Any and all FBI affidavits should be taken as the gold standard, or that the words credible and FBI even be placed in the same sentence. I've seen many slanderous statements against our sheriff. I'd like to make the recommendation to this board that they stick to commission business. I'm quite certain there is a lawyer bill or two out there that speaks to the fact that this board is not an expert on the Constitution or the Open Meetings Act. I support Sheriff Leaf. I support our Constitution. My name is Joel Ibbotson, and I approve this message.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make public comment this morning? Gentleman that just walked in the door. Right up here at this table. You have 3 minutes, and if you would please state your name and where you're from.
I'm Matthew Shepard from Shiawassee County, and I support Dar Leaf and his Constitution.
we allow the Constitution to be trampled on as it has been over the many years and taken away, what's there to protect? Anything that we want or have. We can't allow a tyrannical government to rule over us. We the people, as has been said already, support the Constitution. We the people of the U.S. Taxpayers Party of Michigan support Dar Leaf in all of his efforts. We need more people like Dar Leaf, not less. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Thank you all for being patient with this. I wanted to give everybody a chance to speak. We are trying to get through this meeting as best we can. So, with that being said, various correspondence. I have a thank you from Liz Lenz. Dear Frank and members of the Solid Waste Oversight Committee, both Commissioner Geiger and I sat on that meeting, on that committee. Thank you so much for hosting the household hazardous waste collection on Saturday. We had a great collection, 136 vehicles of 489 brought meds in for disposal. That was the 35%. Thank you for working together. Sincerest thanks, Liz Lenz. Does any other commissioner have any correspondence? All right. Consent items. Yes.
Here I move for the approval of the September 22nd, 2020 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes, approval of the October 6th, 2020 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, approval of the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental CESF grant contract, and authorize the chairperson to sign the contract, approval of the attached consulting agreement between the County of Erie and Sheridan Land Consulting Incorporated for the term beginning June 1st, 2020 through October 30, 2020, as approved by the Berry County Conservation Easement Board. Approval to appoint Alfred Gemrich to the Berry County Conservation Easement Board as a township designee for a term that began on January 1, 2019 and ends on December 31, 2022. Ratification. I move for the ratification of the chairperson's reappointment of Karen Ruppel and Karen Zyber to the Berry County Officers Compensation Commission 4-year terms that began on October 1, 2020 and expire on September 30, 2024. For the approval of $11,000 from 270 Incorporated and approval to reappoint Jody Pessel to serve in the position representing Health Association Environmental Professional, Berry County Solid Waste Oversight Committee for a 3-year term that begins on November 1, 2020 and expires on October 31, 2023. Support.
So, motion by Geiger, supported by Gibson, to approve the items listed under the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. The clerk will call the roll. Geiger.
Yes.
Yes.
Jackson absent. Parker. Smelker. Absent. Wing absent. Connor. Yes. The motion is approved. The consent agenda is approved. I'm sorry. Presentations. We have none. We close off the agenda. Public hearings. We have none. Items for consideration.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of transfers and disbursements, approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $6,684,544.26, approval of claims in the amount of $88,016.96, and approval of commissioner reimbursements mileage in the amount of $328.33.
Second.
Thank you. motion by Geiger, supported by Parker. Is there any discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Gibson.
Yes.
Jackson absent. Parker.
Yes.
Smelker absent. Wing absent. Geiger.
Yes.
Connor.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the MERS Hybrid Plan Adoption Agreement Amendment to change the employer maximum contribution to the defined contribution component of the hybrid plan to 3.94%, effective January 1, 2021, for the December 31, 2019 MERS annual valuation calculated employer contribution rate to the defined benefit component of the hybrid plan of 6.06%, and the county's established maximum contribution to the hybrid plan of 10%.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Geiger, supported by Parker, to. Is there any discussion? Discussion? So it is moved. It has been moved to approve the MERS Hybrid Plan Adoption Agreement Amendment to change the employer maximum contribution to the defined contribution component of the hybrid plan to 3.94%, effective 1/1/21, per the 12/31/19 MERS annual valuation calculated employee contribution rate to the defined benefit component of the hybrid plan of 6.06, and the county's established maximum contribution to the hybrid plan of 10%. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Jackson absent. Parker.
Yes.
Smelker absent. Wing absent. Geiger.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Connor.
Yes. The item is approved.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the October 6, 2020 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
Support.
Thank you. So the motion is to approve the approval of the October 6, 2020 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. I read the minutes, and the attendance when it was taken did not mention that either I nor Commissioner Smelker were absent, and therefore in all of the motions that are made, it just says ayes, and it doesn't say, there's no nays, but it doesn't give any absence. So until the last page, all of that needs to be corrected. Any other discussion? That's why I wanted it moved, but just because it didn't have the absence.
Let's get the corrections and vote on them.
Do you want me to go through the whole thing?
No.
We could just bring it back to the next board, whatever is the board's.
I move to postpone the question until the next Board of Commissioners meeting.
Second.
Thank you. So let's vote on the second to wait until the next board meeting. Roll call vote. Any roll call vote then? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion is approved. And the first motion, it just dies then for the last. We have no unfinished business that has been taken off the agenda. We have no new business. County Administrator's report. Thank you, Michael. Chairperson's report. I want to thank everybody here today. I think this meeting went off very well. We were very concerned. We wanted to have our meeting, but we wanted everybody to have a chance. One thing that I brought. Well, we have another limited public comment, but we don't normally answer questions during public comment. Could you approach me after the meeting? Okay, thank you. Here it is. Found it. So, in talking with Chairman Wing yesterday, she, just so that people are aware, I brought up the state constitution excerpt from Article 7, Section 6, regarding sheriff's security responsibility for acts. The sheriff may be required by law to renew his security periodically, and in default of giving such security, his office shall be vacant. The county shall never be responsible for his acts, except for the Board of Supervisors, which at that time, when the Constitution was written, that was how the county was governed, may protect him against claims by prisoners for unintentional injuries received while in his custody. He shall not hold any other office except in civil defense. So she brought that to my attention, and I wanted to read that here today. So that is what our state constitution is, an excerpt from the sheriff. That's all I have. Thank you. I was gone for 10 days. I was visiting my mother. She had some health issues in Florida, and I was back Saturday, so I missed my meetings while I was gone. So that takes care of the Vice Chairperson's report, Commissioner's report.
Yes, thank you. I'm starting my cycle. I'll be at Hastings Township this evening.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Gibson. I'm so sorry about that. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Parker.
Yes, just had a township meeting, first time in person last night. So that's a step in the right direction, I think. Two people in the audience, so it was well under the nothing. Mostly elections is the thing that's real busy over there right now. Is the elections, testing equipment. I guess that's about it. But I do have a question. When will we be doing the unfinished business? Can we do that next week as a count? I'd like to be able to get that done as soon as possible.
We can meet as a in-closed session in a committee of the whole meeting. We were just required under law to have 5 members for 2/3. The next meeting of the Board of Commissioners where there's 5 members.
So next Tuesday we can plan on that.
If there are 5 members here, at least.
There are 5 members.
Or if there's 5 members, I'll be there.
And I will mention it to Heather too, so when she develops the agenda for next week.
Is that accurate, Mark? I don't have any.
Dan, did you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
You did a great job today.
Thank you.
It was really it was good that we let people come in and say what they needed to say. It's reassuring.
Thank you. And you had no report, right, Ben? Thank you. Limited public comment. Michael, do you know if there's anybody that's listening out here? Okay. All right. So we will open it back up for limited public comment. So we have 3 minutes. Please state your name, where you're from, and please make your comments family PG. Approved for family. Yes. Good morning, Skip.
Good morning. My name's Skip Coriel. I don't like to speak in front of a crowd, so I kind of drug my feet all the way up here. I prefer to speak with my pen instead of my mouth. But I just couldn't sit out there and listen to some of the tripe that I've been hearing. I am a supporter of Sheriff Darleep. I'm a personal friend. I've been teaching classes with him, concealed carry classes, for 20 years now. And I noticed that on social media, I went on Facebook last night, and I hate Facebook. I think it's one of the worst cesspools
that our culture has given rise to. But I have to be there for my business. So I go there and I see all this talk, criticism, excoriation on a personal friend, public servant, Darleaf. But I don't just read the comments. I click on the person's moniker and I find out where they're from. And you, as the Board of Commissioners, you need to know that the people that are excoriating Darleaf right now, by and large, they're not from Berry County. They're not your constituents. They didn't vote for you or against you. They're from places like California and Boston and Los Angeles. And they are people who do this for a living. He's being excoriated because he stands for the Constitution, the letter, the literal interpretation of the Constitution. For he has been fighting for Berry County citizens' rights for decades. And for you to go, and I'm not saying you're going to do this, I don't know what you're going to do, but you need to, just take into consideration where these comments are coming from. Most of them are not from Berry County. They're from outside. And I don't want to see outsiders dictate policy or who governs us. I am sick and tired of California's people from Portland, Oregon, coming here and saying, hey, you are bad people because of this, this, and this. Just get out of our county, stay out of our county. We don't want you here. And the media, don't even get me started on the media. The media, they used to be, the fourth estate. They used to be the people that held the politicians accountable. Not anymore. They are the enemies of freedom. They're, by and large, 80%, they're on the far left. And they have an agenda, and they push their agenda. They come here, and, Fox 17, they're not our friends. Wood TV 8, they're not our friends. They're there. They like to come and start a dumpster fire so they can take video of it. And that's what they've done. They've come to Berry County, they started a dumpster fire, and now they're giggling in the background while we, flounder. And it's ridiculous, and I implore all of you, stand up, whatever you believe in, make it known so the people know how you feel and what your beliefs are. But I stand firmly behind Darleaf. He's a constitutional sheriff. He believes in freedom, and he will protect us from tyranny.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joel, I saw you stand up back there.
I know how much that the 3 minutes is held sacred, so I did not give my full name the last go around in the interest of saving time. Anyway, Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township. There's some other people I'd like to commend in this room as well. I see the Hastings City Police Department here. Also, the Michigan State Police has a presence as well. And through all the years I've lived in Berry County, and one person I can speak of in particular to this officer now, Sergeant Newcomb, the Michigan State Police. Their attitude has been to serve the people, not to oppress the people, not as a revenue source. And I am greatly appreciative to the people to the people that are responsible for that, Mr. Pratt and so forth. That's just a wonderful thing, and I commend them for that. Someone else I'd like to commend, he's been given a pretty raw hand, is Drain Commissioner Dahl. And anyway, I think he's done a wonderful job with the way he's handled the water situation. Unfortunately, though, I think that I will have to start a write-in campaign for Dana Nessel. She did a wonderful job draining the lakes in Midland, and she might be able to help us with our Crooked Lake problem.
Thank you, Joel. Is there anyone else for public comment? Is there any other business to come before the board? Thank you. Motion by Geiger, seconded by Parker to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now adjourned.
Hi, Ben.